In the aftermath of the fall of the Republic and the rise of the Empire, Thrawn and the Chiss Ascendancy developed an elaborate plan, wherein Thrawn would fake his own exile from the Chiss and infiltrate the newly established Empire. This would allow Thrawn to examine the Imperial military and political structures, and establish whether the new government would be a worthy ally for the Chiss against the threats within the Unknown Region. In furtherance of this plan, Thrawn was ultimately located by the Imperials and brought to Coruscant to go before Emperor Palpatine. It was here that Thrawn would pledge himself to the Empire, offering his skills in exchange for the Empire's assistance if the Chiss ever needed it. From there, Thrawn would spend the succeeding years within the Imperial Navy, acting as Palpatine's advisor on all things relating to the Unknown Regions, and rise to the rank of Grand Admiral. Since we know that Thrawn's alliance with the Empire was ultimately based on his desire to ensure the survival of the Chiss Ascendancy, there's an interesting question that arises within the current canon. If Thrawn wasn't removed from the Empire and plunged into the uncharted depths of space, would the Chiss Grand Admiral ever have considered joining the Rebel Alliance? In this video expose, I will answer this question and explain why Thrawn would have never allied with the Rebellion, given what we know within the current canon. Before we start, I just want to quickly set the parameters of this video. The question will be answered assuming the events of the Galactic Civil War proceeded closely to how they did within the present canon timeline, with his exodus from the Empire during the liberation of Lothal, 1 year before the Battle of Yavin. While I would argue that had Thrawn stayed with the Empire throughout the Galactic Civil War, the Rebellion would have been thwarted and destroyed, we'll project the events of the war to be similar as they have occurred in the canon, even with Thrawn's presence. We'll be treating this basically as a what-if scenario, as we're really asking if Thrawn would switch his allegiances if he ever began to notice the scales of power tip from the Empire in favor of the Rebellion, either before the Battle of Endor or after. Given what we know about Thrawn's motivations for joining the Empire, there's very little likelihood that he would ever join the Rebellion. As we've previously mentioned so far, Thrawn and the Chiss devised their plan for his joining the Empire with a singular goal in mind: to determine if the Empire would make a suitable ally for the Chiss. Thrawn joining the Empire was meant to accomplish this determination. And while he would ultimately conclude that the Empire would make an excellent ally against the threats within the Unknown Regions, and thus he would do everything he could to protect the Imperial Order against outside threats, such as the rebels, there was another choice available for Thrawn. Demonstrating that his ultimate allegiance was to the Chiss and not the Empire, Thrawn admitted to his nemesis Nightswan that had he determined the Empire's military and political institutions weren't sufficient to help the Chiss, he would have ensured that the Empire was made into an easy prey. This would have caused the Unknown Region's threats to attack them first, while the Chiss were afforded more time to find a new ally or increase their own defenses. However, as we know, this was unnecessary. As Thrawn would learn, even with its corruption and the fact that it was far from perfect, the Empire was seen as a valuable ally. Although it was tyrannical and plagued by corruption, the same could be said about most governments. More importantly, the Empire's institutions allowed for quick and utter ruthlessness in their response to greater evils within the galaxy. Their military had the capabilities and will to respond to these threats. Although it might not have been the perfect system, it was nevertheless one that would benefit the Chiss, and so an alliance was preferable. Well then you must be thinking, Non-Canon Expert, if the ultimate goal was the protection and security of the Chiss Ascendancy, well then certainly Thrawn would just ally with the Rebellion if they ever appeared to be winning the war and be the more powerful of the two entities. But here's the interesting aspect to Thrawn. No matter how powerful the Rebellion became in relation to the Empire, the Chiss Grand Admiral would not have joined them. As made clear in the 2017 Thrawn novel, Thrawn saw the Republic and its method of government to be utterly ineffective, and honestly, a driver of chaos within the known galaxy. As someone who was exploring the edges of the Unknown Regions at the time of the Clone War, he saw firsthand how the government of the Republic operated, and the chaos that was caused when it was powerless to prevent the galactic conflict. Importantly, even when Nightswan pointed out the possibility that the war and the collapse of the Republic was engineered by outside forces, it didn't change Thrawn's views in the slightest. For Thrawn, the Republic was unstable by definition. It allowed for too many different points of view, too many different styles of political thought, and too many priorities for action. By its nature then, the Republic was sluggish and inefficient, and while the Empire was corrupt, the Republic certainly had its share of corruption as well. Therefore, instead of seeing the rebellion as a potential ally, there's little question that Thrawn would have wanted to make the alliance to restore the Republic into an easy target for the threats in the unknown regions, while the Chiss gave itself more time to plan its next move. Thrawn was adamant that unity against a common foe wasn't always preferable for its own sake. Rather, an alliance with the rebellion would put the Chiss at greater risk. Not only would they have an ally that was weak and potentially prone to chaos, but an alliance would risk the Chiss being attacked first while they were unprepared. Thus, doing what he could to collapse the rebellion or its resulting new republic was the wiser course for the Chiss than Thrawn joining them. It's important to note that this wasn't a moral judgment made by Thrawn on each of the systems of government. It's not true that Thrawn necessarily preferred tyrannical government over greater democracy. In fact, it was Thrawn's aim to make the Empire less tyrannical over time. Thrawn's decision to not join the rebellion would simply be made within the reality of his situation, one where greater evils than the Empire threatened his people in the worst way possible. While individuals like his nemesis Nightswan may have seen the rebellion as a harbinger of justice, mercy, and freedom, Thrawn saw nothing but chaos, lawlessness, and the Clone War. Clearly, these qualities would push Thrawn into attempting to collapse the rebellion into an easy prey that could then be attacked by the threats in the unknown regions, rather than outright join the alliance as an ally. So there we have it, why Thrawn would never join the Rebel Alliance, no matter how powerful it became vis-a-vis the Empire. We love making these videos, so why not subscribe for more fun Star Wars theories and discussions? Also, if you enjoyed the video, think about giving a like or leaving a comment. Or perhaps follow us on Twitter @SWReadingClub for updates regarding the channel. Or support the channel through Patreon for access to exclusive rewards and discussions. And I want to give a huge thank you to our returning Patreon members this month: Matthew C, Tech13, Andrew S, and Rvmuller. If not for me... for sluggishness.